I would like to think in the past week, since I haven't been here, this stuff would have slowed down a little bit. No, it hadn't. No, it's continued its exponential ramp up, and more wars and rumors of wars. We'll get into those here in just a bit. Interesting article here, and of course, right along in line, just seems more and more things we've been talking about here for years are starting to become more and more proven, as I've been saying quite a bit. Yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's fact. By now, a lot of you may have heard about this. Money laundering scandal rocks Vatican Bank. Again, not a surprise, but a confirmation of what we already have known for quite a bit, some of us. This is no ordinary bank. The ATMs are in Latin. Priests use a private interest. A life-size portrait of Pope Benedict hangs on the wall. Nevertheless, the Institute for Religious Works is a bank, and it's under harsh new scrutiny in a case involving money laundering allegations that led police to seize 23 million euros or $30 million in Vatican assets in September. Critics say the case shows that the Vatican Bank has never shed its penchant for secrecy and scandal. The Vatican calls the seizure of assets a misunderstanding and expresses optimism it will quickly be cleared up, but court documents show the prosecutors say that the Vatican Bank deliberately flouted anti-laundering laws with the aim of hiding the ownership, destination, and origin of the capitals. That's huge. You know, Rothschilds in the Encyclopedia Judaica, the guardians of the Vatican's treasury. So it's interesting to think about with that statement there, quote, with the aim of hiding the ownership, designation, and origin of the capital. The documents also reveal investigators' suspicions that clergy may have acted as fronts for corrupt business and mafia. I would say it's the opposite of that. I wouldn't say that it's clergy acting as fronts for corrupt businessmen and mafia. I would say it's corrupt businessmen and mafia acting as fronts for the clergy. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, is anybody else? Do you not see that? It's pretty obvious to me. The documents pinpoint two transactions that have not been reported, one in 2009 involving the use of a false name, and another in 2010 in which the Vatican Bank withdrew $860,000 from an Italian bank but ignored bank requests to disclose where the money was headed. The new allegations of financial impropriety could not come at a worse time for the Vatican, already hit by revelations that it sheltered pedophile priests. The corruption probe has given a new hope to Holocaust survivors who tried unsuccessfully to sue in the United States, alleging Nazi loot was stored in the Vatican Bank. Yet the scandal is hardly the first for centuries-old bank. In 1986, a Vatican financial advisor died after drinking cyanide-laced coffee in prison. Another was found dangling from a rope under London's Blackfriars Bridge in 1982, his pocket stuffed with money and stones. The incidents blackened the bank's reputation, raised suspicion of ties with the mafia, and cost the Vatican hundreds of millions of dollars in legal clashes with Italian authorities. On September 21st, financial police seized assets from a Vatican bank account at a Rome branch of Credito Argentino Spa. Investigators said the Vatican had failed to furnish information on the origin of the destination of the funds as required by Italian law. The bulk of the money, euro $20 million or $26 million in American dollars, was destined for J.P. Morgan in Frankfurt, with the remainder going to Banca del Fucino. Prosecutors allege the Vatican ignored regulations that foreign banks must communicate to Italian financial authorities where the money has come from. All banks have declined to comment. Yeah, I bet they have. In another case, financial police in Sicily said in late October that they uncovered money laundering involving the use of a Vatican bank account by a priest in Rome whose uncle was convicted of a mafia association. Authorities say that some 250,000 euros illegally obtained from the regional government of Sicily for a fish breeding company was sent to the priest by his father as a quote-unquote charitable donation, then sent back to Sicily from a Vatican bank account using a series of home banking operations to make it difficult to trace. Now, I mean, again, if these guys weren't up to anything, why all the secrecy? Why all these steps? I mean, this is a huge thing, folks. It may not sound like it's huge on the surface to some of you out there, but it is a huge thing. And the reason that's a huge thing is because it goes to prove just exactly what a lot of us have been saying for a lot of years. And that is that Rome, the Vatican, and all their subsidiaries and financial interests and religious interests all are a big, big part, if not the biggest part, of this power structure. But we're given red herrings and we're told to look over here, look over there, and given all these distractionary stuff. And, more and more people are not falling for the distractionary stuff anymore. People know it's big, that the Bilderbergers and the bankers are not the tip top of the power structure. And my God, anybody that tells you that shit, they just count on people's ignorance, and they count on keeping people in a state of arrested development and never finding out this stuff for yourself. It doesn't make you a brain surgeon or a scientist. You can go and look for this stuff for yourself. But that is the big problem, is that we've got a lot of people that say they're researchers, and they're not really researchers. They are parroters of people who are researchers, or people who are shills and disinfo agents and the rest of it. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've heard that just regurgitate word for word things that Alex Jones have said, and they say that they're researchers. Looking up an Alex Jones video online and going and watching it does not count as research. Maybe you didn't get that memo. That doesn't count as research. Well, I actually had to go Google it. My God, it took like, a minute and a half. The slow connection I got, that's research. That's highly involved research. Bubba. Why don't you spend 16, 17 hours a day in front of the computer investigating one subject? And why don't you have to go dig through sources that aren't, Truther or Truth Movement or Patriot Movement or Alex Jones approved? It requires a lot of digging to get your way through this stuff. And it requires a lot of, just a lot of sticking to your guns, and a lot of not fraying and swaying away from what your core mission is. You said the call-in number is busy? Why would the call-in number be busy? Nobody's on it. Huh. That's odd. That's odd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it would be doing that. Maybe try it again. Let me give it out to you one more time. Make sure you got 214-613-5732. That's 214-613-5732. Yeah, that's it. It's odd. I don't know. It should be rolling just fine. Everything is everything's up and shows that it's okay here. And I haven't seen anything come in. 214-613-5732. Yeah, that's it. Well, you can also, you've got me on Skype there, Nick. You can just Skype over to me and I can put you on that way. It's whatever you want to do. But yeah, it's just odd. Because nothing's flashing up on my screen here. Let me make sure that all my settings here are good to go. All right, try that now. I think we had a setting or something there that was a box was ticked wrong. But I can't stress enough, and that's been one of the biggest things for me that because when I first started on air, I didn't know anything about, the Roman influence or any of this stuff about the Jesuits or the Knights of Malta or Rome. I didn't know anything about it because, well, I, like many of you out there, like many people out there, I was going along with the consensus truth movement, and I was going along with what, everybody else was looking at. And then on that fateful day when I had Peter Del Scott on, I'm so glad we found that show again. We played it here several times on the show. I've got to get that up so more people can hear that. from that moment on, that was what gave me the impetus to really start doing my own research. And I've been looking at stuff and reading stuff for years and years and years, but I never felt more informed, more alive, and more honest until I started finding out stuff for myself and not just going along with what everybody else was telling me. Let's go to the phone lines. Looks like we got Nick in Seatown. Nick, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Josh?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, I was wondering, did you see that Tron trailer that I posted in the chat room the other
day? Yeah, I sure did. That's pretty interesting. First time I've ever known that a Maltese cross would be used as a targeting site on any device. I mean, I don't know. I find that a little bit odd.
Yeah, there was a scene, I think, about 10 seconds before that scene. They had a graphic, kind of like a pyramid, and there was a Maltese cross at the capstone of it.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm going to have to go back and watch that again. Yeah, that's coming out this Friday. Hopefully I'll be able to go see it. It looks like I've been waiting for this movie. I've always been a Tron fan. But it's interesting how they put those little symbols in there and, they affect people subconsciously and they don't even know they're getting hit with this stuff most of the time.
Yeah, so I was just wanting to point that out because you were on the Vatican influence pretty much right from the get-go from the show, and that's pretty much been my bread and butter of research. So, this is the type of show that I like to listen to because this is where I think that more people need to hear this type of information because a lot of other radio shows miss this type of information. I think pretty much yours leaves. There was like Great Samansky out there for a little bit, but a lot of it is still religious dogma-based, which you're still kind of like a one-track. You're missing a lot of other information because of your religious dogma background. Wouldn't you agree? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were doing a show there for a while, Nick, and I remember back, I guess, when I was on Oracle and stuff, you used to come into some of the chat rooms and whatnot, and you would talk about some of the Vatican stuff and Eric John Phelps stuff and some of the different types of info out there. And even at that point, I had found out about the CMP and I'd found out a lot about the Jesuit stuff. But even at that point, I guess a couple of years ago when I first started talking to you and stuff, I hadn't come all the rest of the way yet. And see now, since I've been working on these films and I've actually had my nose to the grindstone digging on this stuff, man, it's like I can remember stuff that people told me a couple of years ago that I was going, I don't know about that. And now, you do a little research and you find out it's absolute fact. And some of the things that, my gosh, some of the stuff I found that Abraham Lincoln has said about the Jesuits and how they controlled the South. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Hey, have you ever looked into some of Samuel Morris's books that he wrote regarding the Jesuit influence at that time?
I think I've come across, I think I've come across quite a bit of his stuff recently. It's hard to remember all the names of everybody's stuff, but I'm pretty sure because he's done some extensive research on the Jesuits. I think I have come across some of his stuff recently. I think it might have been some of that stuff relating to Lincoln.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the same time frame, absolutely. And wasn't it pretty much right around when the Declaration of Independence was signed, when the Jesuits were finally starting to come back into the country?
Well, yeah, and that was pretty much around that time. And what you had was basically they gave up the South and allegedly gave up slavery, but you and I both know that what they did was they just made it, instead of having one subsection of the population that were slaves, they figured out how to make everybody slaves and create currency and the rest of that stuff out of that. So, like Lincoln said, this war would not have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits, and we owe all of our every degradation that has happened in the United States, we owe to popery. I mean, that's a huge statement that when you actually do the research holds a lot of water to